Who says a college degree is the only path to a fulfilling career? At the Gherkin Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods with or without a degree. Gherkin provides a generous benefits package, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. We're looking for rock-solid performers to help build and reinforce the region's infrastructure. Whether you have construction experience or are just starting your career, apply now at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Basketball Podcast presented by the Gherkin Companies. Have to hand out our teams of the week from a week ago, and we will step aside and let our expert, Coach Kraus, take the floor here. We may help you a little bit if we need to, but...
Well, anybody have any comments on any team that you think is deserving right off the top of your head?
I had a chance to see the Patrick Henry Patriots on Saturday at home, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah,
Matt Heber and Reed Kreger are a nice 1-2 punch, and they got some nice pieces around them, and I like the Patriots.
Well, let's start on the guy side then, since you bring up Patrick Henry. Even though I wasn't going to bring them up, I do think last week we let it escape our dialogue that they had a huge game last week with Liberty Center. Mm-hmm. The winning team was, if Liberty would have won, they could have really separated themselves from the rest of the league, but Patrick Henry made it a W on their part. But what I want to bring up is you mentioned Matt Heber. As of right now, he is 19 points away from breaking Lincoln Krager's all-time scoring record. 19 more points, 19. And he'll have that record. So, which lasted a year.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll get that. There's no doubt about that.
How many 1,000-point scorers are there in the history of PH basketball, if you
there
know,
aren't many.
Coach?
Well, there's Jim Hoops, and then there's the three that I coached on that one team that Al beat us in the district final, Heber, Heiser, and Gherkin, those three. And I think Lincoln. And then Mac will be the next. Mac's already has 1,000.
Already,
so,
yeah.
And I might be missing somebody. If I'm not, I apologize. But, yeah, pretty good.
Select company.
Really select. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so on the boys' side, Delphus St. John, they keep rolling. They're 17-0. What's interesting about Delphus, the Max Preps, they do the rating. They rank teams all across the state, regardless of your 7 divisions. And it's hard for me to believe, but they've got Delphus number 3 in the state of Ohio, right behind Lakota West and Princeton, and right ahead of Toledo Central Catholic. Now, no disrespect to Delphus, and I'm not saying they couldn't compete and play with some, but I'd have a hard time thinking that they could beat those teams. But that's just me talking. But they don't. I don't think they have the size to play with those teams who have some really good tall players and skilled players. But nonetheless, 17-0, and they're rolling. Then you have up our way here, Genoa, 16-0, 9-0 in their league. Lima Senior, 13-1. They keep rolling. Quincy's got it going, but they got a really interesting weekend. They will play at home against Trotwood Madison out of the Dayton area, who is traditionally strong. And then they will, on Saturday night, they go out and play East Kentwood out of Detroit area. And that team is number 2 in their max prep rating. So they've got a huge game. Both teams are one-loss teams. So Lima Senior will be up against it, and we'll see how they come out of that. Down in the WBL, there's 2 teams that really deserve some mention. Van Wert is a 14-3, won their last 5. They're rolling. Jeremy's got them rolling well. And then Lima Shawnee, they're both 6-0, and they will play. I think another week yet. They'll have a game to wrap that up. So they'll have to face each other. But those teams are good. And then finally, let's throw a bone out to Marion Local. I mean, they've lost that one game, but they've now won their last. They've bounced back from that loss. They've now won their last 4. Big weekend for them is Coldwater and Spencerville. But as I looked at the entire state rankings, again doing my math, there's still only 6 teams undefeated across the entire state. That's Delphus, Brecksville in Cleveland, Winton Woods down in Cincy, Wyoming down in Cincy, really good Division 4 team. Tri-Village, a Division 7 team, I believe, right in Dayton Way, and then Genoa. So those are the teams that still have an unblemished record. And we'll see how that materializes. I think I'm going to go any one of those teams. I personally think Genoa is the team I want to reward this week. They've just been solid as heck, playing a strong. They had a strong weekend. They went to a tournament over, a showcase type of event, and beat the host team, Keystone, who had like a three losses going in. So I think Genoa's earned some respect there, and I think I'd like to reward them for what they did and what they're doing.
No argument.
Okay, Genoa. On the girls' side, boy, it's unbelievable. OG we rewarded already. They're still undefeated, 20-0. We've rewarded St. Henry. They're still undefeated, 17-0. AW up in Toledo, they're 15-3, 7-0 in the league. LB we rewarded last week, but they ended up losing here to Bryan just a week ago, this past week. So we kind of gave them a little jinx, I guess. But Bryan team, that's a team right now that I'm not real sure come tournament time that you
Watch
want them
out.
in your bracket. Yeah, I think they're going to be solid. In the NWL, we can talk about this tomorrow night at Patrick Henry. It's a showdown between two 5-0 teams in the league. The winner of that game, Delta Patrick Henry, obviously puts himself way ahead of the rest of them. And Delta's 16-3, Patrick Henry's 15-3. That place will be packed tomorrow night for that girls matchup. Paulding is out there yet, 18-2. They're 6-0 in the GMC. Tomorrow night they've got a huge game. They play host to Fairview, also 6-0 in the league. Winner takes it all. So that's a league championship game tomorrow night. We haven't mentioned Columbus Grove for a while, but Brian Schrader just keeps it going. What I love about them is that they're in two leagues, right? They play in the Northwest Conference, and they're 7-0 in that league, and they're 6-0 in the PCL. So they could put a couple more trophies in their case if they continue on out. They lost a very tough game to a strong Margaretta team. Margaretta is a real deal. Actually, it was Grove, Margaretta, and Patrick Henry were the three of the four regional teams last year, and they all returned these great teams. The fourth team was Cary, but Grove certainly is right in there. And then finally, they lost their most recent. They being Grove lost to Ottoville, who we haven't mentioned, but boy, they've really come on, and they've got a 16-4 record. But they had a young lady, a junior, score her 1,000th point last week. So Brooklyn Coaster is her name, but. I like them all. I mean, we could name any one of them. I just think let's go back to the NWL and Patrick Henry girls. They've won 12 of the last 13 games, and their most recent win was Monday night against a very, very good, solid Fairview team, and they beat them convincingly. So I think the PH Patriots would get the nod this week.
I like it. Had a great year.
Justin's done a great job.
Yeah. Congrats to them. Very deserving. That'll be a hot ticket. You say that's tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Coach, at PH?
At PH, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Delta's got a nice ball club.
PH sells good popcorn, Tori. You better get over there.
I'll tell you what, that's what I've heard. I wouldn't mind going over and watching that game, to be quite honest with you.
There we go.
Can you save him a seat?
I don't know if I'm going to be there, but if I am, I might.
He might know the right.
He might know some people that might have some seats for him too.
Yeah, I could probably.
Yeah.
That's good. Good analysis, Coach. Very good job.
Just stay out of the way.
I've learned that.
I'll look like an idiot if I try to compete with that.
I know. Just.
It's fun to kind of
let him run.
It's hard. Unfortunately, it's easy to get the guy stuff. They're out there, and multiple sites can give you all kinds of information. Right. The girls, I just, we can talk to Martin, to Brayton next week. Maybe we can say, hey, we need to rejuvenate the girls' side of what he does for the guys, because I know at one time you mentioned he did do that. But if we can get into that with him, maybe that would be awesome, because what he does for the guys is tremendous.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The hours he puts into it is.
So people, if you've never been on Martin's RPI, you need to spend some time on there because he's done a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, we're going to talk to him next Wednesday on our podcast.
Yeah, awesome. We
can get some tournament info as he will, not just Northwest Ohio, but he's going to know all over the Buckeye State.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got stuff on that website you didn't even know you needed.
You can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah.
It's fun you can spend a lot of time on there.
96.1 WMTR, who is on your show this upcoming Friday, right?
Yeah.
Released on Friday?
We just talked to a couple girls from Delta and Mac Heber as well. We're our senior spotlight people.
Okay.
And then we spoke with Brian Moore at Eden, is having a fine year in his first year up there as the Lady Bombers coach. And we brought in Dave Storer.
Okay.
It's interesting to learn Dave's story. He's 42 years of coaching in the Wasion staff.
Jeez.
And he had a very serious health scare this summer that
I heard that.
he survived, and that's part of his story that he talks about. But this is Archibald Wasion week, and there's no love lost between those schools. And so Doug got into that with him a little bit, and Doug did some math saying, Dave, you've been part of 80-some of these games between Archibald and Wasion.
Because they always played twice, right?
Yeah, they do, and it's out of 200 plus, and so they figured he did the math. It's 40% of the games you've been there.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
and that can be watched on YouTube
too.
YouTube,
but just look Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat.
It's great stuff. Yeah,
Friday night.
like watching that. Yeah, great,
perfect,
great stuff, Dave. So appreciate that, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I know you got to run to dinner. You got to take Mr. Welch and Mr. Linder.
Al's hungry.
Yeah,
I hear his stomach growling.
I think Al's going to pay too. I heard. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you next week.
High school seniors, uncertain that college is right for you? Concerned about the cost of higher education? At the Gherkin Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods even without a degree. That's a good living straight out of high school with no tuition debt. Starting pay between recent college grads and those with high school diplomas is closer than you might think. So if you enjoy teamwork, working outdoors, and being part of something meaningful, consider your options at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store off Route 24 on State Route 109, just south of Liberty Center, now has 88 unleaded fuel and is your one-stop shop for fuel, food, drinks, and much, much more, including locally raised meats and home-baked goods. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store is proud to support Black Swamp Football and is the host of the Black Swamp Football podcast, football show, and Saturday mornings Rise and Rewind. Stop in and see Glenn and Greg today and make American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store a part of your everyday routine. All right, welcome back to the Black Swamp Basketball Podcast presented by the Gherkin Companies, joined this week by 1,189 basketball victories. Jim Linder, 284. Al Welch, 540. Dave Krause, 365.
It's not bad.
Tell who the smart guy was. Al and I, we go back now. We've had a lot of good battles, and we can get into some of those stories, but really glad that both of them are here. Obviously the Wayne Trace brand started with Al. What year was the school first established?
1971-72.
Okay. And so that brand, and you came on in what, 76?
I was freshman coach in 71-72, and then I became varsity coach 75-76.
Yeah. And so the Wayne Trace brand has really just been solid ever since. You did your tour duty and 540 wins and state championship and trips to the state beyond that. Jimmy did the same in terms of keeping it going. So it's going to be some good stories here from down south here.
Absolutely. Along with our distinguished guest, Tori Strock. I am Wayne Grohl. Tori, thanks for joining us again. And Coach Krause and Al and Jim, thank you guys so much. We're looking forward to it. My first question is, you guys were a couple of greats from Paulding County. We roll out the basketballs. You two go one-on-one. Who takes a one-on-one matchup between you two?
In your prime.
In
not
your
today.
prime, not today. In your absolute prime.
He was a great ball handler, and I was a great shooter. So, we were two different types of players.
But answer the question, who wins?
Don't be humble here.
I'd have beat him.
I knew that was coming, but you're actually right. You're probably right. But I'd kick him in ping pong. I'd just kick him.
Hey,
How about golf?
I still whip him.
So I have only 2 questions, and I'll let these guys carry the show. But, you hear the name of certain schools, and you automatically associate them with a sport a lot of times. Like, this is a football school, this is a basketball school. For most people, when you hear Wayne Trace, now Wayne Trace had some doggone good football teams, right?
Yeah.
But when you hear Wayne Trace, the majority of people say that's a basketball school. How did Wayne Trace turn into a basketball school?
Well, it was Blue Creek, Grover Hill, and Payne when we consolidated in 1971, right after the school year of 71. And we had Doug Parks was our first coach, and he was at Grover Hill then and had a couple good teams before that. And he became head coach, and I was a freshman in junior high, and I even sit on the bench for the varsity games during that time, and loved every minute of it. And we got kids that we started making them into competitors. I felt that the one thing that we lacked was that competitive edge. And if anybody knows Al Welch, they know that when I come to play something, I come to compete. And I tried to make these kids that way. And it took a couple years, but eventually we got those kids to play that way, and they become very, very good.
Jim, why do people think when they hear Wayne Trace, they think basketball? Why is that?
Probably just because of the tradition. I think Al started a great program, and eventually, you get brothers wanting to be like their brothers, and it just carries on. And now you started in the barns back in the day with the Gerbers and everything, the Treeses, and it just carries on. Now we still have a barn that the kids go to, and they play a league, every Thursday night. And I just think it's a tradition that Al started, and it just kept going. And every year our community just keeps following, and when you win certain districts and regionals, and you make those long runs, you go to state 4 or 5 times. And I look back at the banners over the years. We went about every 7 years since Al took over. So community loves it, and our kids enjoy it, and eventually you get those special players. And we've all had them.
Everybody talks about the Grand Canyon at Napoleon. It's a great gym, right? You guys have a heck of a gymnasium there at Wayne Trace.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. It's
The Palace.
They call it the Palace, and it is. It's just a nice place to play.
There's got to be a sign there, though. The Palace that Al Welch built. Is that true?
No, it doesn't say that. It just says
Well, you built it.
Home of Al Welch, Hall of Fame coach. Is what it says. So, which is very, very nice.
Yeah.
Jim instigated that. So.
Well, that I can go back to some memorable scrimmages that we would have, and it was us, PH, Wayne Trace, and
Kalida. LCC.
Yeah, Bob Segerson would bring.
That's right.
And we never went to LCC. It was either coming to PH or to Wayne Trace, So LCC always had to travel, which I kind of like that. But when we went over to your place, that old gym, tell me that's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
That is awesome, because you need to walk into that thing. You want to go back memory lane. Who played there prior to the building? Wayne Trace played there, but
Blue Creek.
that was Blue Creek's building then.
Yes.
Now, where's that gymnasium at?
It's just right on the campus.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just, it's part of old Blue Creek. They tore some of it down, and then they kept the gym in certain parts. So,
Does it still get used?
yeah, the junior high plays in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
The site of my only junior high basketball loss was to that guy right there in that gym. 2 years, we lost 1 game. Wayne Trace got it. Yep.
What year was that?
Geez, 94, 95 area. Yeah, little point guard Seth Miller, right?
Oh, yeah.
Seth was pretty darn good.
You guys were undefeated like 2 years in a row.
Yep, except for that night.
We had a good night.
We opened up some old wounds
Yeah,
here.
we did. Yeah, we did. Coach Welch, I want to know, you get done with your days at Grover Hill. What took you to Wayne Trace? Take me through that path.
Well, I went to Bethel College down in Tennessee, which was just a great place, and graduated there after 4 years, and came back to Paulding County basically, and I heard that there was a job open at Blue Creek, and I went out there and interviewed for it, and they hired me as a teacher there, and I became head track coach, and I was 7th and 8th grade and 9th grade basketball coach, and I coached cross country. So I was coaching a little bit of everything.
Wow.
Drive the bus.
Yeah, we drove the bus to the games too.
Coach Welch, the one thing I always hear about you, and Coach Linder, I want you to touch on this a little bit. The one thing I always hear about you when your name comes up is how doggone competitive you are. And you talked a minute ago about instilling that in the kids. Where does your competitive fire come from? Where did you get that?
I really don't know, because my parents weren't like that. My dad wasn't like that. But from the time I can remember, I just loved playing, and I loved winning. I hated losing, and I tried to instill that into my players, and I think you guys that played softball against me know I was going to compete.
Jim, touch on his competitive fire.
Absolutely, he installed that in us, and as a player for him, you didn't want to lose because he was going to kill you. Either if it be at practice or in the locker room. And it was a different time frame then. It just locker rooms were different, and things were. It was just a tougher time. You grew up tougher, but boy, he installed that in us, and I think my family was competitive to start with, so I had it in me anyways, But Al sure brought it out of you. He could get two guys against each other, friends, and by the time you left, your enemies, because he was trying to make you better than that other guy.
Did your parents ever come in and complain when he was hard on you?
Absolutely not.
No. I knew the answer to that.
No.
So Grover Hill, obviously they had some basketball talent. Obviously Al Welch was kingpin there, but you had some teammates and you had some success too.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
We had some really good players. I scored 60 points in one game.
Against Menden Union, right?
Yeah, and I don't even hold a school record because my cousin Gail Scarborough scored 67. He was 2 years older than me, and we were good friends, and we only lived a mile apart, so we were out playing against each other from the time we were able to play, and that was Grover Hill basketball,
So like your junior or senior year, any tournament success that Grover, what was the nickname? I don't even know the nickname.
Hornets.
The Hornets. So did the Hornets have some tournament success?
Yeah, we my senior year, we won 4 tournament games. Back then, you had to win 2 games in the sectional, super sectional. Then you had 2 games in the district. We played Holgate in the district finals. That was our 5th game of tournament trail, and they had a couple really good players and a big kid back then. I can't remember what his name was, but they beat us in a real close game that night, and they went on and got beat in the regional final then. But back then there were only 2 classes, A and B, basically.
So that's when your banging heads against the Holgate team started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've had some tussles with Holgate over the years. We might get into some of those tussles.
I know Tori's got a question for you on that.
Go ahead.
I got a great story about that. Go ahead.
I gotta tell you, obviously Coach Wayne's a good friend of all of ours, and I like talking to Wayne-O about his battles with you, Coach Welch. And Wayne-O, we had him on here last year, and he told us after the podcast, he said a great Al Welch story. He said, we're playing Wayne Trace at the old Tiger Cage, right? And you walk down those steps in the locker rooms, I think we're kind of downstairs.
Yeah.
And it was like halftime, and they were stalling, right? And Wayne-O said you got after him and said, Paul, this ain't a game of keep away. This is basketball, Paul. Do you remember getting after him?
Yeah.
I got some other quotes. I remember that night specifically. as we're walking down the tunnel, Al says, "Paul, you set basketball back 20 years."
That's right. That is what he said. That is.
It gets a little better than that. So we get to the locker room, and he's just furious. It's 8-6.
Yeah.
What the score was.
It's 8-6. It was 8-6. We're getting beat, and he's mad. That's a long walk from there. If you remember that old gym, we get to the clear far end where they put us. Tim Clemens is our assistant coach, which is Al's brother-in-law, right? Tim Clemens from Antwerp.
Yeah.
And he's going on. He says something to us, and Tim goes, "I kind of like it." He about lost his mind, you know. It was ugly from there. But I had to get out. I laughed as hard.
So you remember that night?
Oh, vividly.
That's great. He did say you set basketball back 20 years. You remember that night, Coach Welch?
Yeah, they got the opening tip and held the ball the first 4.5 minutes of the game. Didn't even look to shoot it. Just held it.
Did you look at Wayno and go, "What are you doing?" During the game, did you say, "What are you doing, Paul?"
Well, I wasn't real happy.
So what do you do in that situation? You try trapping them? What do you do to speed them up?
We tried to. You know, they handled the ball good and held on to it. You know.
What was the final score?
We won. It was ugly.
Okay, so you got the better end of it.
30 some points was all we had, somewhere in that vicinity. We were averaging 75 or 80.
You set basketball back 20 years. That's great.
You know, the one thing I had many coaches say to me, and it bothered me a little bit. They said they try to hold the ball against us, and I said, "Why do you do that?" And they'd say, "Well, we can't play against you guys." I said, "Why not? They're just kids, aren't they?" I said, if we don't teach them one way or another, they're not going to ever be able to do that. And I tried to teach my kids how to compete, how to score, how to play hard on the defensive end so we could score that way. And that's the way I coached for 40 years, basically.
I think it worked, Coach.
Well, I had a lot of fun with it.
Well, there was 33 years of it on wearing the red, white, and blue of the Raiders, and let's kind of break that down. 22 green medal championships. That's impressive out of 33 years. You didn't share very much. I bet your parents taught you how to share a little bit, but you obviously didn't want to. 8 districts. You know, that's where you all want to get to. You want to get to that district final game to give yourself a chance, and you did it 8 times and claimed 8 championships, 4 regional titles, and then the 91 state championship, 24-3. But the special thing about that was two players were 2 of your sons. You know,
my both sons.
Yeah, Brian and Robbie both. Brian was a senior, Robbie was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And wow, what a memory. Got to talk to us about that.
Well, there's no better feeling than that, you know. It was just a great ride. We started out the year, we played decent, but we lost 3 games early in the year, and then we went on about a 15-game winning streak. We just kept getting better and better and better, and by the time we got to the state tournament, we won both games in the state by 20 points.
Yeah. Well, and then son Robbie, he didn't have a bad tournament.
No.
What, 35 and 30 in the 2 games?
Yeah.
You know, that's 55. My math isn't very good. 65 points. That's not bad for 2 games,
You know,
back to back.
Rob became a great player because he worked at it.
Absolutely.
I used to have to, we had a basket right on our garage right next to our house, and he would be out there shooting till whatever, until we ran him in the house and made him go to bed.
Yeah.
And kids today, do they do that? I don't know, but not enough of them, I don't think.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's what Rob did to become a good player, and he got to go to play at Wright State. 4 years, didn't cost Dad a dime.
I was going to
for
say,
him to
saved
go
you
there.
money, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a
Well,
great career there.
Yes, he did. And you know, the thing about your 33 years, I say you're a unicorn because you, and there aren't many like you, that stayed at one school for those 33 years. That's a rarity in itself to be the head coach of a program and last 33 years at the same place. That speaks a lot.
Well, it was I really enjoyed it there. I had many different job offers that I could have went to that was bigger schools, but every time I think, why do I want to leave? I got a great job and loved what I was doing, so I never left.
Jim, what was it like growing up in that Wayne Trace community and seeing what he was kind of doing with that basketball program and then getting to play point guard for Coach Welch?
Well, we were just talking about that coming up. Al's first wife passed away, and I was a sophomore, and I went to the viewing, and I'll never forget what he told me. He said, "I'm going to hit it hard." And right there, right in that funeral home, we're going to hit it hard. And he installed that in me from point one that I wanted to play for Coach Welch, and everybody did. You grew up. I want to be that guy because we had brothers that played for him, and part of it, and it just installed into you young, and he kept it going, and then I had a chance to coach with him for many years, played for him, then coached for him, and saw a different side of it. It's different when you're in there playing for him, but when you're in there coaching with him, that's a different side of it. You get to the nitty gritty a little bit, and so I learned a lot, and it was just a special time.
Did you think you were always going to coach with him, or did you think you were going to take a different path?
No, I thought I would. Once I started to coach with him, I never missed a game from 7th grade. When I started as 7th grade coach, I was always on his bench and just tried to learn, tried to take in everything I could, because it's a wealth of knowledge there, and it's not just X's and O's. It's how you handle kids and how you handle the community and everything you try to learn in that time frame. But my kids were coming up through there as well, and they were watching, and they were our managers, and so they got to see what B and Rob did, and they wanted to be those guys.
What was his greatest strength, Coach Linder? What was Al Welch's greatest strength? Or if you can't pinpoint one, give me a couple of his great strengths.
A couple things. Number one is I don't think we went into any game. We played some really good teams that he never thought we could win. And he never, and I think the famous funny quote was, "We didn't come over here to lose," and we didn't, and he didn't. And even when we played LeBron, I don't think how many people in the gym thought we had a chance, and we lost by what?
Three.
If there was 17,500 people there, 17,200 were rooting for us, So I think that's the first thing. Number one is you're going to be prepared. He prepared us, and that's what's going to happen no matter what. And he installed that in our players. So I learned that from him. That was a great thing. And just the other thing was just the tradition that he handed down every year. It's just those kids want to play for that and want to play. They just want to be what they were part of, and he installed that. I think that's the two major things I took from Al.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When did the program, do you feel like, kind of be on the map, or what was the turning point for the program when you started coaching?
Well, my first year, we'd won the year before under Carl Lockoff, and we only won about 4 or 5 games that year. And we were playing some seniors and mainly seniors that year. So when I took over in 75, 76, I basically had a bunch of kids that I'd had in junior high and stuff like that. They weren't great players, but they competed. So we ended up winning, I think, 11 games that year, something like that. And then the following year, everything just kept getting better and better. And my nephew played for me about that time. Mike Priest was a heck of a player. And then came along Jim's group that was very, very good. And it was just a case of getting kids to want to compete and play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And they passed it on to the next kid, like he said. And it made it fun for all of us. And when you walked into the gym, our people were packed in there, weren't they, Jim?
We travel as good as any team.
Yep. They would be standing. How many schools you see nowadays where they're standing in line to get in? We'd pull in on our bus, wouldn't we, Jim? People were waiting to get in.
Yeah.
So
those times have changed for sure.
They have.
Seating for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Why have they changed, in your opinion, Coach Welch and Coach Linder?
The gyms are bigger. First of all, our little gym, I'd be teaching at 3 o'clock. They'd be out there beating on the door, laughing, waiting to get in and be a long line, just to get a seat when they open up at 5.
Yeah.
Now the gyms are so big, they just, you can sit
that's
where
fair.
you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tournament games, our people are there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at just some of the players Coach, we talked about Rob. Was he your first? Well, no, he wasn't. I know. So you had some other Division I players. One who's really, really good. Talk about Steve Hall.
Steve was, he started with Jim as a freshman. Jim was a senior that year. Steve was a freshman. And just a great, great kid.
Yeah.
He was smart. He was a straight A student. He was just an all-around good person. And I think he was the best defender in this area ever.
Yeah.
He would block 7, 8 to 10 shots every game. And we're scrimmaging Dick Quartercracks at Kalida back when Steve was a junior or senior. And I'll never forget this. But anyway, Steve blocked about 2 or 3 shots in a row early in the scrimmage on their big kids. And you know how Dick was. Dick was a competitor too, and he wasn't going to handle it. He didn't handle that very well. So he called a timeout, and I thought, these kids are in trouble here. And he met these 2 boys out in front of the huddle. And I can't repeat exactly what he said, but he basically said, "You 2 dummies, don't you realize you can't shoot over top of him?" I'll never forget that.
Then obviously he ends up at Ohio State. So during that whole time, AAU wasn't part of the picture, was it?
Not big then.
All those coaches came through your gym to practice and watch Steve work out or play. Talk about some of those experiences. Who was coming through the gym then?
Well, gee, everybody in the MAC was there trying to get him. Larinagas, he was at BG then. And I'll tell you what, he lived at our place. Every time he could get there, he was there. Because he wanted Steve bad. And Ohio State started coming through the door, and Steve just wanted to be a Buckeye. That was something that he enjoyed. He could have went to Toledo and been a starter and played 4 years and probably did a lot better on the floor. But he was the kind of kid that he enjoyed being a Buckeye, and he got to play some, but he was playing with Jimmy Jackson and some guys like that, and they had a lot of success. So I asked him one day, I said, do you regret not going somewhere else? Were you to play more? And he said, nope. I enjoyed being a Buckeye.
Yeah.
So that tells you what kind of person he was. He wasn't in it, just for himself. He was that type of person.
A couple of weeks ago, we had one of his assistant coaches, Fran Fischella, on the show, and he talked about Steve very much in the same light there, Coach. So, yeah, he loved Steve's mentality and what he brought to the program down there, that's for sure. So, talk about your first trip to the state tournament. What year was that?
That would have been Steve's 87.
Yeah,
Steve's
and that was
junior year.
That was at Dayton.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was kind of an odd thing because it was traditionally in St. John Arena. I don't remember why they took it for that 2-year period.
Something was going on at Columbus, and so they had to move it for 2 years. I can't remember what it was, but the facility wasn't available.
Okay, and in that tournament, tell us about who'd you play and how'd that result come out?
Played Rob Shelton.
Okay.
Cyrus Winford. And they had a really good player, a really good guard, and they did a triangle and 2 defense against us on Steve and a kid named Tony Marsh, who was a heck of a shooter. And our other kids, we didn't have a normal game out of our other people, and it came down to we had a 1-point lead, and they had the basketball, and their good guard, they had called timeout, and I told our kids they're going to try to get him into the paint and see what he can do. So we went to our 1-3-1 zone against him and had Steve in the middle of it, see. And we told everybody else, you got to cover because Steve's going to take care of the basket. Well, this kid penetrated on the left side, and our baseline and our wing trapped him, and he hopped on 1 foot. I need to show you the film of it. he hopped on one foot. He traveled, actually, because he was trying to stay in bounds. And he threw it back out to their big guy, and the big kid takes a jump shot from about 15, 16 feet, and Hall makes him shoot it to the sky. So it hits on the back iron, and the kid that we had trapped went under the basket, and our wing on that side was boxing out the guy that was already there and never seen him. And he tipped it in at the horn to win it.
I remember it being a close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went on to play good college basketball.
Yes, he did. He was a good player. Yeah.
But it was just one of those things that, how games go sometimes.
But that first time, I mean, when your communities experience that trip for the first time, it's still special. It wasn't the end result you wanted, but looking back, it was like, wow, we did this.
Yeah.
And it sets you up for future trips.
Yeah. Steve told me, I remember him telling me, I said, Steve, what do you think happened during that game? We were in our normal self. He said, we never got our feet on the ground because it was just a whole week of getting ready to play, and everybody was excited. School wasn't normal because Wayne Trace going to Dayton, and I think our kids just felt that little inward pressure.
Yeah.
And they missed shots they didn't usually miss.
How long did it take you to get over that one, Coach? That's a tough one to lose.
Never.
Yeah?
Because I felt that group of kids should have won the state.
Yeah.
Winford got beat in the final, but in a close game. And I felt if our kids would have got their feet on the ground, they'd have been state champs.
Coach, I want to ask you something quick before we get back to Coach Krause, retracing your tournament history. I'm curious, you talked earlier about instilling that competitive fire in a kid. Can you take a kid that's not real competitive, maybe he's talented, can handle it or shoot it, can you take a kid like that and put a fire in his belly, or they either have it or they don't? What's the secret there?
I think you could definitely bring some out in kids. Some are going to be a little less than others. But we did competitive things in practice.
Yeah.
And made them compete against each other. And made our kids want to beat the other guy. Like if us four is in there practicing and we're shooting free throws, we competed some way or another. And that brought out that little competitive fire you want to get out of kids, because then they took it into a game.
That's a great answer.
Think about Jim, what we did, Jim.
Oh, and the other thing is he always made it so competitive that your practices were harder than games, and that's the way he wanted it, and that's what he taught us. You get out of there, you're just drenched with sweat, and the games are easy. Especially some of the teams you play aren't super skilled, and then others are, but our practices a lot of times were harder than some of our games.
That's awesome. Great answer.
Especially varsity JV, when you got 12 good guys that are going at each other.
Right.
We had some wars, and you had some wars with Hall's group.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike Priest, our 80 group, was as good as our 81, or vice versa.
Yeah. I always told my players one thing, that practice is mine. Because if I do the job in practice, you're going to have fun game night. And I think the kids took that to heart. They knew what was going to happen in practice every day. I remember we had a lot of coaches come watch us practice. And I remember one guy said to me, I don't remember who that was, but he said, you guys practice like this every day? And I said, well, yeah, why not? He said, well, I wish I could get my kids to do that. And I said, well, that's something you got to instill into them.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a lot easier.
I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit. Did you have a kid that was maybe more competitive than another, or can you name a few for us?
Well, he was a real competitor. He did a great job of getting the basketball where we needed it and took real pride in it. And then right after him was Mike Priest, was a real competitor. He was my nephew and a heck of a player. I think you guys know who Napoleon had at that time. We played Napoleon in the district finals, and they had Tim Reiser, Sonnenberg, and Smith, all three D1 kids. And we got beat in overtime that night by them. and in a heck of a game. And that's the kind of things that we just carried on. We wanted to compete against the best, and our kids bought into that.
Yeah.
I was in junior high right there, and a lot of people, our fans today, still say that may be one of our best teams. Even though Steve's group was really good, Rob's group was really good, that group was pretty special, and that kind of put us on the map.
Yeah.
I remember all my guys watching it, my buddies, right? We would be like, that was our goal, and that's what you guys talked about earlier. There's the tradition right there.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of started right there.
That 80 team probably won 18, 19 games. Only one guy, underclassman, played on that team. Richie Miller was his name. And the next year we went 20-0, just because they had to compete against those guys the year before. They weren't one of my most talented teams, but they were one of the hardest working and smart kids, and they won games they shouldn't.
Coach Linder, you think those were the teams that really got Wayne Trace basketball going?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I'm trying to think, in '76, when you first started, we had some good players. We had a really good player. I think he coached him young, was Ron Treese. One of our best players to ever go through there, probably. But he only had him a couple of years, is that right, Al?
I didn't have him.
You never coached? Okay.
He graduated the year before.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
He could jump.
He is a player. He was very good.
Yeah, he was.
But that group never did what they should have done. You know what I mean? They were good. And
Well, Jim, let's go, then you take over, and things pretty much flow like they're supposed to, like Wayne Trace expects. And you get the opportunity to coach a couple of your kids. So talk about that whole experience.
Well, the first couple of years, first year was rough. We knew that was coming, but then the second year we got a player back. Rob's boy got back, and he had blew his knee the year before. Then we went to the regional run. Third year dropped off again, and then my boys came through, and their kids and their friends and their classes, and we were all coaching them when they were younger, and it just kind of sprouted from there. And I had a really good opportunity to coach. My oldest boy played for Al his last year, and they went to state in '08. And
His name?
Riley. Yeah. And then my two youngest, Corbin came through, hurt his knee a little bit, and but he bounced back, and then Ethan came through, and it kind of all pulled together right in there.
Ethan's the youngest?
He's my third young. I had one younger. So
Okay.
3 of my 4 boys got a chance to go to state with us, and 2 I coached in the state tournament game there. And my youngest one said he went to state, but he was just a manager. He was real young at the time.
I was at your place. Did you guys play Napoleon at home? No, it wasn't. I was watching PH. I was at a game Ethan was playing. I think it was PH at Wayne Trace. Would that have been a regular season game when Ethan
No,
played?
we
We never
PH,
played.
no.
We never played.
What
you
the
all.
heck was I doing there that night?
Well, he had close to 2,000. Maybe he came for that one, maybe? He had over
I
2,000.
might have, but
Yeah.
he was so smooth.
Yes.
Smooth as silk, softest shot I've seen in a long, long time. And then he went to Finley, right?
Right, yep. Yeah, we all had special players come through. He was one, yeah, just exciting times. And like he said, no better feeling when you're coaching your sons at the highest level you can get to, and
Yeah.
special times.
Who did you idolize growing up in the Wayne Trace community, Jim?
Basketball-wise?
Basketball. Who you wanted to be when you strapped on the sneakers
like I say,
later
with
on?
that 80 team when I was in junior high, those guys were all, Les Hockenberry, Mike Priest, Gus Davis, I was a point guard, so Gus was a point guard.
Gus was on that team. I know
was about
Gus.
this big, the only thing, but boy, was he fast,
Really?
And I would never get that fast, but I don't know. I'll never tell him this because I'm a golf friend. I golf a lot with him, but I always liked Mike Priest the way he played, so he was a pretty good player, So he was my first wannabe, want to be like that guy,
How about you, Coach Welch? Who did you idolize growing up, or did you want to replicate their game?
Oh, I really liked Gail Scarborough was basically my hero
Okay.
because he could shoot it from anywhere, and he worked at it and made himself a great player, just like his boy that was very, very good. He worked at it. He went out there and worked.
Absolutely. Ethan, I had the good pleasure to see Ethan and Corbin both at the University of Finley. I was third man on the totem pole, but boy, I had fun with those guys. They were fun to coach,
And we had some good teams. We just couldn't get to the hump we wanted to get to either. And part of that is that Ethan was never truly healthy.
Injured.
Unfortunately, he'd battle, but he'd get nicked here and nicked there, and he just couldn't play the level he could. But when he was healthy, he put on a show a few times. Now I'm telling you that. And then there was Corbin, who really came in as a walk-on,
Right.
and made himself a valuable walk-on in terms of contributing. And I can remember 2 or 3 games where somebody was playing a zone and we're saying, well, hey, we got a zone breaker down here. Let's get him in there. and sure enough, boy, Corbin would just knock he could shoot the heck out of it. So who taught those kids how to shoot?
I'm going to take credit for that. I don't take credit for much, but Al had a lot to do with it too. When they were young, he coached them in junior high, but when they were real little, they were out in the driveway. And I couldn't shoot well when I played. I was going to make sure my kids could shoot, so we shot a lot. We shot a lot of shots.
Well, it showed because they had excellent techniques and shots, and it paid off for them for sure. So
Corbin was one of those kids that didn't have great athletic ability.
Correct.
But he was a tremendous shooter.
and smart,
Yeah.
and darn smart. Both of them were smart. Ethan had the ability to see the floor, great passer. Was not afraid to give it up, and he. I remember. I was kind of, I won't say the lead recruiter, but because we all whole staff were recruiting. But when it was time to go recruit a distance away, I was the one they sent. So I got to go to Vegas, and watch this AAU team play, and that was phenomenal because here's a little bunch of guys from Northwest Ohio and Al, you were coaching. Yeah, you were coaching the group, and they were competing with some big time players out there. And more than beat some big ones. And that last game you played out there, that was like one of the best games I ever saw.
Yeah, that was the one where the referee.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tell you what, though, to me I was prideful of the fact that here's these kids from Northwest Ohio playing with top players in the country. I can't remember who the kid was on that team, but
Point guard for Wisconsin.
Yeah,
He went to
it
Wisconsin.
was
I
just
can't remember his
phenomenal
name.
players.
Big, stout, blonde-haired kid, but
Yeah.
we just kicked him.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I got to be friends with another coach from Missouri who was a Division II coach, and he followed Northwest Ohio around, and I'd say, Jimmy, why are you here? Well, I like to watch this team play. They're fun to watch, and they were. A lot of those AAU teams aren't my ball of wax, but the teams out-coached, they were fun to watch, number one. But number two, he goes, I love that Ethan Linder kid. And I'm going, you're wasting your time. He's not going to go to Missouri. All right, he's a homeboy. He's going to stay in Ohio, and hopefully Findlay, but if he goes beyond Findlay, that's fine. But if he stays in Ohio, he's not going to go, don't waste your time. He never quit. He kept going on, but it was, Ethan was a really, really solid player.
Thank you. We took a recruiting call from the Navy one afternoon. My wife listened in for about 5 minutes. And after about 6 minutes, she goes, phone went down, and we went back to what we were doing, and it was over. So she's not going there.
It really came down to maybe Findlay and OU? Was
OU was involved, yeah. OU, Findlay. Late in the game was IPFW.
Okay.
A little bit.
But, what Findlay worked out was the fact that he wanted to be a PT,
Right.
and that program was
fit.
on campus. And
one of his real good buddies, Master Lasco, went there.
yeah, Anthony, both
And
together, yeah.
He
Well,
was a
sealed the
player.
deal.
Yeah, both the kid from Ludi Benton, Anthony.
I remember
Anthony
him. Yeah, I
Master
remember
Lasco,
him.
He was a
yeah.
player.
So
Oh,
they're
was
both
really
on
good.
that team, so
Yeah.
made Al a good coach that summer.
That was fun. I
Yeah.
had some great kids, and they wanted to win, and
Yeah.
they didn't have ego problems.
No,
They just played.
How many times did you two face off? Do you know?
twice.
Twice.
1-1.
1-1.
And-
Tournament games both times?
Yeah, both times.
And I think of those two games, the one we won, we should have lost, and the one that they won, we should have won.
That's fair.
Talent-wise, I'm saying talent-wise, but that's just, those two schools were so competitive that just made it
Yeah,
a tough game,
yeah.
you know?
It was 92, the year after they win the state championship. We end up playing them in the regional final.
Okay.
So they're looking to go back to back, and obviously Robbie's a junior now, and when you're preparing for that team, boy, they had some other Hinchcliffe. There's other good guards and people that could shoot and play, and boy, they spread you out. And
At the Grand Canyon?
No, we played at Savage.
Oh, you sat. Oh, that's right.
Savage Hall. And it was nip and tuck the whole way, and towards the end, Kent Seaman just kind of made a couple big plays for us, and, he had a really good last minute and a half and eked out a win. And I go back when you went your first time, that first time was our first time. And to beat a well-respected and guy that I really had a lot of respect for, and that team and that program to get there was like, wow. And it was a special time for us. We ended up losing in the final, but nonetheless, it was still a good experience.
Why were his teams so hard to prepare for and play against from your coaching perspective?
They played so hard. They played together. They played smart. They were connected on both ends. Their defense, he would play a hard man-to-man and deny you and this and that. Then he'd throw the 1-3-1 out. Timmy Clemens taught him the 1-3-1, and he took that to heart, and they played that well. So, but they had good players. That were well coached. So you knew that when you played them, you better be ready. The following year now, and we move on. Now we're the defending state. I'm sorry, that was '97. Then we win the state championship, and then '98, we bring back a pretty good team with 3 solid scores, and
3 good players.
Yeah, and we end up playing them in the district final now at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And what happened on your end, which was I think detrimental to us, but really helpful to your guys. Your best player, Rod Overmeyer, gets mono or something?
Yeah.
Gets mono the week before he's supposed to play us. And we don't find out about it till, I don't know when you kept it secret, but you did a good job of keeping it a secret. But we didn't find out till game time. And here our guys got, all of a sudden, they almost relaxed. Like, we don't have to play against Rod, so he's their best player. Well, they took it to us, and they beat us and beat us soundly,
No, I was at both those games, Krause. I was at your game at Savage when you beat them to go to state. I was at that game at Napoleon. I remember both.
Yep.
Coach Welch, I know he's probably one of them, but one of the questions I always like to ask, who are some of the top coaches that you competed against that were tough to beat?
Well, Bob Sigerson did a great job. You always knew what you were going to get from him.
Yep.
And they were going to be sound, they were going to play good defense, and they weren't going to take bad shots. And I always respected his team, Coach Krause. Him and his brother, they both were solid coaches. And you knew what you were going to get there. And the thing I liked about all 3 of those guys was they taught their kids how to play basketball. You know what I'm saying? And that's my biggest boo-boo, I guess, is I cannot stand watching pass the ball 85 times before you shoot it.
Well, when we had that scrimmage annually, it was always the last scrimmage before the season started. And like I said, we met either at your place or at our place with LCC, and you knew at the end of that scrimmage where you stood. You knew exactly, well, we're going to be okay, or we got issues, or that was such a great scrimmage for us to really be able to fine-tune moving into to the season. But
how bad did you want to beat PH when you played him? You had to want to beat this guy.
Well, sure.
Why wouldn't he?
Why not? That was what it's all about, beating the best.
And vice versa.
Oh, I know that.
But, here's a question. Now, let's say next year it won't happen, but shot clock comes in, okay? It's going to happen, but let's just say.
You think it's going to happen?
It's going to happen. It won't be next year. I'm thinking 2 years yet.
Okay.
But let's say next year it's it. And you're still in your prime, man. You can get out of it. So you're going to go back to Wayne Trask, and you're going to say, Wayne, you get to Holgate, and we're going to play with a shot clock. That would be kind of fun to see how that would recalibrate. What would you think about that matchup?
That'd be a whole lot of fun.
Fun.
There's one thing I was thinking about. You guys talked about when tradition for us started, really. If you think back at this, when I played, we were single, double A, triple A.
Right.
Okay. And when I got out in 85, 86, I think it's the first year we went to 4 divisions. I think that's correct. So that propelled us into a smaller bracket. We hit some luck right there, actually,
Sure.
with Steve's group. And then in '87, the three-point line came out. And we could shoot.
Yeah.
If Wayne Trace is known for one thing, they can
boy.
shoot. I mean,
Yes, sir.
matter of fact, we've had people come in and watch our lunch hour and say, "No one of you guys can shoot. You know, we don't know anything about basketball. There's no football. It's just basketball." You know? So that's a standing joke at Wayne Trace. But I think those two things also, I think over the years have revolutionized basketball, right? So now you're talking about shot clock. That may be the next. You know, I don't know if we'll see it.
It's coming. It should have been here already, but it's coming.
Money.
Yeah. So.
You know, one thing that Jim talks about, our kids could shoot. When I went to Grover Hill High School, I had a freshman coach that was an excellent teacher of how to shoot the basketball. And he worked with all of us at Grover Hill, and he helped me a whole bunch. You know, I was an average shooter when I was 8th, 9th, 10th grade, and he worked with me, and then suddenly I could score on anybody. And I took that to heart when I became a coach. We had camps, didn't we, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
And our kids in elementary would all come to the camp for a week in the summer. And the thing we worked the hardest on was being able to shoot the basketball correctly. And it paid off.
Yeah, it did.
Were you part of Ralph Rufer's Fairview Summer League? Were the Wayne
Yes.
Trace guys?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
It was a great league. Ralph did a great job with it. It was real competitive. Yeah.
But you can only play two people off the team right in there,
Yep.
which is kind of fun.
Mix the kids up that way. Yeah.
Get some other, know some other guys.
Right.
But the other thing about shooting with Coach Welch is he told me when my boys came through, you just make sure, even though there was a 3-point came in '87, so you make sure you teach your boys how to shoot a jump shot because it's a lost art. And Rob could shoot the jump shot. Our best shooters, Rod and Nate Overmeyer, Hinchcliffe, Rob Welch, my son Ethan, Hinchy, yeah, they could shoot a jump shot. And I'll never forget, Wayno had a really good team, Nate Overmeyer's year. They won the state that year with Ferguson and those guys.
Yep. They
They came to our place, we beat them at 25, and Nate just rolled them because he was just shooting over. And that's a hard guard. Wayno could guard you a certain way. That's a tough guard. And funniest thing about that story is next morning I'm AD, he calls me. That's back in the days when you had changed film. He goes, 6:30 in the morning, I'm at the office for whatever, I think I had something going on that morning. He called me and said, "Hey, Jim," says, "as bad as that night was last night," and he used some other expletives, you know, my taper didn't even tape it. He dubbed that film for me. I said, "Sure." But Nate was a tremendous pull-up jump shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, let's kind of transition. I've always heard you tell the story, Al, about playing baseball, and you had a really good baseball team at Grover Hill,
Oh, yeah.
and you went to the regional tournament one year.
Yeah.
What year was that? Your senior year?
66.
So your senior year,
Senior year.
and you came to Deshler and played.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Got beat
Well, but
by the best pitcher I ever seen.
yeah,
Guys remember Gerald Chrisman?
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Chrisman,
Okay.
lefty, about what, 6'4"?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could bring it.
I thought I could hit anybody till I faced him. I batted leadoff on Grover Hill's team, and he was a left-hand pitcher and I was a left-handed batter, and I'd never seen anybody even close to this.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, he threw 3 pitches and I went and sat down, struck out, and I was ticked. And I remember the look on our guys as I walked back towards the dugout because they never seen me strike out before. And I could see they were going, "Holy mackerel, where'd they get this guy?"
Yeah, Jerry Crispin was the real deal. I mean, he went to Michigan,
Yeah.
pitched there, signed out of Michigan with the Minnesota Twins, made it to Double-A, I believe, but then he got a lot of baseball. But
You know what happened to him, don't you? Tore his rotator cuff.
I don't know that. I don't remember that if he did. So,
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Al, did you hit lead off when you played softball too? I've heard some stories.
Yeah.
You remember those stories? We were riding to Cincinnati with my brother. My brother played softball with you, and you'd always get into it. He said before the games with one of the Meyer boys about who was going to hit lead off.
Monk always thought he should. But
Yes, my brother said there was an argument before every game about who was going to hit lead off.
he needed to bat late.
Who's that, Monk?
Monk was a good player, but he couldn't hit like me.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, so let's we'll transition back to basketball, Coach. One of the things that we've stumbled across and we have some fun with now is there's a website out there that put all the county schools in Northwest Ohio and picked an all-county school from those given counties. So, for instance, Paulding County. Did you see this list?
I did not.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, Jim, you're not on it, but but you have a kid that is. So the guards, some guy named Rob Welch, Ethan Linder. This is all Paulding County for history of Paulding County.
Oh, okay.
All Paulding County. Rob, Ethan, Al Welch, Grover Hill. So he's going back now, but he's got you on there, Al. Jagger Landers out of Antwerp as a forward, and then Steve Hall as the center for that team.
Could have you won some games with those guys?
Yeah, I'd have loved to coach them.
That would have been a good team, huh?
Yeah,
Player coach. You could have been the player coach?
yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, boy. Who else might have been on that team or from the county that you recollect names that maybe, doggone, they got left out or they would at least get some consideration?
From the county.
Yeah.
Ron Treese.
Yeah.
Ron Treese.
Ron Treese,
I
yeah.
think so.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay, real quick though, your neighboring county, Van Wert, you know those schools well.
Yeah.
So who do you think would be on that one, just because you guys are knowledgeable basketball guys?
Joey Gardner?
No Joey Gardner.
No Joey?
No.
Pat Jackson.
No Pat Jackson.
No kidding.
Quincy Cloud?
No Quincy Cloud. No, none.
So
Pardon?
Brandon
Absolutely.
Pardon.
Brandon
Pollock.
There's not a Van Wert guy on this. This is unbelievable. But go ahead. You got Brandon Pardon.
Pollock.
Nope.
No kid.
What if I give you a
Crestview guy.
hint? What if I give you a hint and say there's three
Doug
Crestview?
Etzler.
Yeah.
Doug Etzler.
Doug,
Yeah.
and then the other, his nephews. Just Javid and Kalen.
yeah.
Those two.
Sure, yeah.
And then the name that, I knew those names, but the name that I had to do some homework on, a kid back in 1950s or something, I'm 51, 52, kid out of Wilshire,
Yeah.
6'10".
Yeah, that's
Remember the
right.
name?
Jeez, I'm terrible with names anymore, but I can see.
Gary Kessler.
Yeah, yeah.
Kid was 6'10". They went
6'10".
back to back to the state tournament, Wilshire, which is now part of the, what district?
Parkway.
Parkway. So that's interesting. I just had to throw that out to you guys because you get 6'10" now, it's pretty impressive, but let alone going back in the early 50s when they went back to back. Maybe 40, I'm not real sure, 50, 56, 57. I'm not sure the dates anymore, but it's impressive.
Interesting.
Menden had some good basketball back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And Van Wert, the guys you mentioned on those Van Wert teams, those Keith Noss teams, man, they could play.
Yeah.
They went to state a couple of times.
Yes, they did. They could really play.
Bob Howell at Menden Union averaged 36.2.
Yeah. The
His senior year.
The night we played against each other, I scored 60.
Yeah.
He scored 40.
Yep. Yeah. What were some of the gyms? Because you played in those cracker boxes back in your day. Give me some of those gyms that you like playing in, didn't like playing in, maybe some uniqueness of some of those facilities.
Tell me about Payne's old gym.
Oh, they had a. You ever been to Van Wert YMCA? Probably not. But
Yeah.
Have you remember the like
Balconies.
The balcony,
Yeah.
the one that really jog at the top. Payne
Yeah.
had one of those. My dad played there in 1950, and he said never failed at least once a year. Principal would chuck a guy out because he'd reach over and grab the ball. They shot in the corner. Some bonehead from their team would grab the ball, and principal would go up and get him and chuck him out. Wow. But, did you play in that gym?
Yes.
Yeah. It's part of our cafeteria, but they kind of remodeled it.
Any other ones?
In junior high was the worst gym I ever played in. You guys know where Melrose is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The ceiling was only about 11 feet high, I think, 11 or 12 feet high. So you had to shoot her awful low to get it to the basket. And that's where we played a junior high game every year in that gym. That was part of Oakwood, see? That's
Yeah.
where junior high was.
So you never played in Molina, because that's the same way.
Same way.
Or maybe even
Never
less.
played there.
Maybe even less.
Wow.
Yeah.
when I first started coaching, Paulding, Antwerp, all these schools, Crestview North, Crestview South, all had like the stage.
Yeah.
And those were just, your half court would be, then they'd have that restraining line would end up being the half court line.
Yep.
That was an interesting way to coach for a while.
Yeah, Edgerton and Stryker had
Yeah,
those
my
also.
my first coaching job as striker, we played on the stage with the restraining line, and that was fun.
Let's face it, back in those days, there was no such thing as a set shot.
Yeah.
You had to be able to shoot a jump shot to score because it was so crowded, It's like playing in here. Put
Jimmy,
10 guys on the floor in here, and you got no room to move unless you could shoot a jump shot.
So like half court, did the top of the circle intersect with the half court?
Pretty dang close.
Pretty close, yeah.
We played Lincoln View when they had Pardon and Pollock and those guys that won the state 1 or 2 times there. Played them at Lincoln View. They had 7 guys. They were up 40. We won our conference that year. They're up 40 at halftime in that little gym. And he's shooting from almost the end line on the other end, Pardon was, because it was such a small small place.
Crazy.
Coach Linder, what were some of your favorite gyms to play in?
I always liked Delphus Jefferson. Had that stage for
Stage,
some reason.
yeah.
That's kind of like a theater. Edgerton had one of those back when I played. Van Wert had some tremendous games personally.
In the
Van
old
Wert,
school,
The old stage.
Downtown?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Jefferson's still there.
Yep.
So, they'll dress you down there in the laundry room, and it doesn't matter. It's just great. I tell the kids hate it. I love it. I mean, that's just old school to me.
Yeah.
Just brings back a lot of memories.
Is there a gym that you enjoyed coaching in, playing in, either one? Because you played at coached at Anderson Arena, St. John Arena, both of you. Or if you could coach one last game, what facility would it be?
We played a lot at High and Northern. I didn't like, I thought High and Northern didn't have
Far
that.
away.
Anderson Arena was a really good place to play because the crowd was right on top of you. And it was so loud in there you couldn't hear yourself think. So that might have been the best place to play back then.
Yeah.
My favorite's Napoleon, Grand Canyon. You hear yourself just like horses, and then you jump. You always felt like you could jump just a little bit higher.
Yeah, that had a great, that was a great environment in there.
Yeah.
Was it last week you told the story of that they had the springs in there?
Yeah,
They had what?
just real quick, we replaced the floor there at Napoleon 7-8 years ago. And so they took the old floor out and sold pieces of it, Well, I went in there when they were replacing the floor. So there's probably that much room underneath the floor. And about every 5 feet were these massive steel automotive springs. So, you always heard rumors that there were springs, and there were. Wow. And so a lot of the old folks said, hey, let's do it like that again. Well, there were so many springs that were broken, they couldn't get replacements, nobody could fabricate them. But there were indeed springs about every 5 feet the entire court. So the whole thing was built on springs.
The ball sounded funnier on that court, remember?
Yeah.
Like a hollow
Yep,
kind of thing.
and it was that hollow underneath.
Yeah.
Did you ever get play there, Jim?
Yeah, I played District 7. I played District 7 games.
And you'd probably be able to touch the rim then, since they had those springs.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did.
All of our guests we've had on here, how many of them have not named the Grand Canyon or Anderson Arena as their favorite facility, or St. John Arena?
We've never had, those are the ones that get mentioned every time. What is it? What was it about the Grand Canyon? I know you mentioned the floor. Yeah, loud.
Just
Great high
the
school.
people were right there and they were in the game.
Yeah.
And after you've been there many times, you feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of second home if you're going to play.
Yeah.
When they went to that homeschool host stuff, I was kind of disappointed, because I just felt
Yeah.
it's kind of neat to be able to take your kids and go to another, place and play.
What do you think of the added divisions now that we're at 7 divisions?
Don't like it. I think it watered it down.
Definitely does that.
I could see them adding one more class because the way Division I was, I could see that. But there's no reason to change our smaller schools.
No.
That's just watered it down.
And it really didn't help. I mean, we're still fighting the same schools.
Right.
We're always still fighting them.
Yeah.
I thought it really separate the arts boys has always been a little bigger than us, you know, in some schools. We've always fought that line on Division IV, Division III. I mean,
Yep.
when they did every year count every year, you know, we were either 1 over one way or 1 over 2 maybe. And so we didn't know. But a lot of schools were etched into, hey, we're going to be this and this is what we are. We're either 4 or 3.
Yeah.
We were always on that line, weren't we? Double A, same way. Double A, single A.
One of the best kids I ever coached against was right down the street here, Tim Reiser.
Yes.
He was a player.
He could play.
Did he make the all-county team there?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, if he didn't, something's wrong.
Definitely.
He coach
did.
at Napoleon now? Doesn't he coach a little bit? No,
He coaches up at Ottawa Hills.
Ottawa Hill, that's where I
Is
saw
that
him
where he's
draw.
at?
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have him
That's
on the
right.
show, but right now they practice every day late, so we can't
Yeah.
get him in here.
That's
So
right, Randy.
we want to talk to him. Maybe
He's
we
the
can still
head
get
coach
that
there?
done. But what's that?
He's the head coach at
No, he's his assistant.
assistant.
Yeah, still helping. Pretty good for him. Lucky those kids, huh?
Yeah.
I bet they can shoot.
If you see him, tell him Coach Welch thinks he's
We
one of
will.
the best I ever coached against.
Well, we'll let him know that. What about, Coach, you look back, we can wrap this up, but when we look back at your career, you know, the wins and losses, they speak for themselves. But, you know, is there anything beyond that you're most proud of?
I guess the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I think I taught kids how to play the game right and how to compete. And that's what I wanted to see as a coach, and that's what we worked at.
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to ask Coach Welch, if you could go back to the very beginning, is there anything you would do differently based on what you've learned throughout your career? Or are you pretty content with the way things played out?
I think I'm pretty content that, you know, that was the way I was taught to play in college and everything, and I just carried it on as a coach.
Yeah.
Coach Linder, sum up what Al Welch has meant to you as a person, your kids, and then Wayne Trace basketball, if you can.
Well, when I took over for Al, my first thought wasn't, am I going to win? It's, am I going to let Al down? Yeah. That's what it meant to me.
Yeah.
So,
Was there pressure? Did you feel pressure? Or
internally, you know, certainly from the community, but internally, because he's still helping me coach. He came back and coached our junior high, you know. And
That's right.
Then then I helped you for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and got to sit on my bench with me when we went to state and help, tremendous help. But you know, more than coach, he's a friend. So we're still friends.
Play golf together and everything.
Golf partners.
Ask Jim what he does now for fun.
What I do now, I run an assisted living. So I got out of education and I run an assisted living facility in our community.
And then on the side, to earn some extra bucks.
Oh, I officiate. Yeah, I get in the officiating JV. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it keeps me around the game. Everybody asks me why you do it.
Oh,
It's not bad, believe it or not.
could you officiate, Coach Welch?
I did when I was younger, but not, you know, I had a adult league there at Wayne Trace. It was really, it brought in all the really good players. And on a Sunday afternoon, we'd have 8-10 teams.
You officiated every Friday night on that bench. I don't think you ever missed a call.
I hope not.
That was great. You guys were awesome.
yeah.
You guys were awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Jim, Al, thank you guys so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
And thank you for what you've done for Northwest Ohio basketball and Ohio basketball.
Well, thank
True
you. This-
pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
That's fun. You guys have carried it right on and doing a great job with this.
Appreciate what
So
you do.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it. Be back next week with Braden Martin of Martin RPI for our next Wednesday show.
Sounds good.
That sounds really